Thank you for joining us. We are here with Mr. Rick Keeney, President of Professional Civil Process in Spicewood, Texas. The interview that we're doing right now is part of compliance from a process server's perspective for ServeCon. And this is one of our pre-recorded sessions at ServeCon. To give you a little background on Rick, and I'll have him give you a little bit on himself as well. Rick has been in the process serving industry for over 30 years and has built one of the most successful process serving businesses in the United States from the ground up. Today, as I said, Rick is going to talk about compliance and how demands from customers have changed the business for him. So thank you for joining us today, Rick.
Sure, welcome.
One of the reasons we're pre-recording this session is because we'll actually be getting a tour of Rick's facility in a separate video clip that he actually helped build himself with his own hands to house his company. While his offices were being built, compliance and security were definitely some things that had to be taken into consideration, and he'll talk about that a little bit. So I guess, Rick, to lead us into the compliance conversation, would you mind just starting off by giving us a little bit more background on your company size, technology you utilize, types of clients that you focus on?
Basically, we started the company in 1978. We currently have 20 offices in Texas. Our corporate headquarters is based here in Spicewood, Texas. We employ about 78 employees and approximately 250 process servers in Texas. Our clients basically are made up in the collection industry. We sort of cater to collection attorneys. We have contracts with child support agencies in both the state of Texas, we have the state of Florida, and the state of Arkansas.
Great. So give us a little background on compliance, if you wouldn't mind, in the process serving industry. What do you think are some different factors why compliance is becoming a more common term? I think there's probably different examples in relation to client requirements, jurisdictional needs, etc. Just give us a little background on how compliance has changed over the years.
Well, it seems like over, I'd say maybe the past 5 years, these types of clients that we do business with has been demanding us basically to provide proof and verification that their sensitive data and documents are kept safe and secure. So in addition, they want us to provide proof now that we're conducting compliance and permissible use training on our employees, and that we're holding our process servers accountable for their actions. For instances, our clients want to know if their sensitive data, such as Social Security numbers, are accessible by our employees. Are our process servers, really making attempts like they say they are on the affidavits? Are our process servers signing their own returns of services? And how are our clients' documents stored and who has access to them? The issues have created really the necessity for our company to incorporate these procedures, and we even have departments now, such as compliance and quality assurance, to manage our clients' concerns. And it's become another cost factor now that we have to consider when we're actually pricing our customers that require this type of service.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot when we talk about compliance. There certainly are a lot of layers. There's technology, there's process, there's how you handle your server network. One thing that we mentioned in the beginning was your actual physical building itself. Can you talk about the things that you had to consider when you were actually building a corporate office building for the types of clients that you serve?
Well, one of the things we had to install was card key access. So we installed card key access in all the entrances of the building. We installed approximately 16 video cameras throughout the building, so we record not only vehicles coming into our parking lot, but also the individuals that came in through the entrances of the building We have cameras on the back of our building for our doors exiting the back. And then we installed cameras in the departments that we knew would actually be handling the service documents.
Mm-hmm. And these are requirements that have come from the state or collection clients or a combination? It's something that you wanted to do to sort of have an umbrella coverage, if you will, when it came to compliance?
It basically, it came from clients. Our state contract with the Attorney General here in Texas had certain requirements in their bid. Some of our larger credit collection accounts have now actually instituted these demands, basically, that we have to do this, and if we want to, handle their service.
Mm-hmm. So, do you have any thoughts for the, let's say the smaller to, obviously you're a larger company in the landscape of process serving firms. Do you have any thoughts of what some of the small to medium-sized businesses should be looking at if they're going to be thinking about compliance over the next few years as it becomes something that's more prevalent, more demanding from clients such as the financial sectors and debt collection, et cetera?
Well, even the small companies with 1 or 2 employees, you can still install cameras in your offices. Fairly inexpensive now. You can buy video cameras, have those installed. You could have even key locks or PIN codes, combination codes, fairly inexpensive now that you can put on your doors as well. There's permissible use training that we put together that would help a person basically just sort of train, what's considered sensitive data. If it is sensitive data that they're scanning and then the clients want those discarded, and you can buy inexpensive shredders now in your offices and have shredders in there where you can shred the sensitive documents. Those are the most common ways I could think of right now, at a low cost that a small guy could do.
So if you don't mind, I'm just going to jump around here a little bit. Permissible use training is one of the things that we wanted to cover today. Can you just explain what permissible use training is and why it's necessary for employees to be trained?
Permissible use training is security training that was required for one of our clients. It's specific training for dealing with sensitive information, or PII. Permissible purpose is legally allowable purpose for inquiring about a consumer's personal information. These purposes include legitimate business needs such as normally housing, employment application of the consumer, also credit transactions, court orders, subpoenas, or the service of process. Personal identifiable information, or PII, is used in U.S. privacy laws and information security. Is information that can be used on its own or with other information to identify, contact, or locate a single person, or to identify an individual in context. The abbreviation PII is widely accepted in the U.S. context, but the phrase it abbreviates has 4 common variants based on personally, and identifiable, or identifying. Not all are equivalent, but for legal purposes, the effective definitions vary depending on the jurisdiction and the purpose for which the term is being used. In common terms, our company, for doing basic skip tracings, there's 4 normal pieces of PII frequently referenced or we use. One of them is the Social Security number, the date of birth, the driver's license number, or license plate. There's additional areas of laws pertaining to information that can be found in both the Gramm-Leach-Blyle Act, also known as GLBA, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, the Fair and Accurate Credit Transaction Act, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, the Federal Information Security Management Act, and the Driver's Privacy Protection Act of 1991. In Texas here, under the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, we serve a lot of their child support papers for family violence. And on those cases that we serve in family violence cases, we're forbidden to put the actual address on the return of service of the person that we serve. So on those types of documents, we have to just put no physical address on there, or we could be in violation.
Let's shift to technology. As we said, compliance covers a lot of components of your business. I believe you have a system that you built from scratch that you've maintained over many years. Can you talk a little bit about how you've had to modify the system to become more compliant? What changes have you made to your software?
Sure. Well, Trent, I can't give you away all our secrets, but some of our elements that we incorporate in our system and employees are, for instance, we're talking about Social Security numbers. Our software has the ability to mask Social Security numbers when they're downloaded in our system. When Social Security numbers need to be accessed for locating persons, our system requires a special password from the user that records the name, that username and date and time that information was accessed. Our process servers in the field are not only representing our company but also our clients. And incidents and accidents that may happen while they're driving or in the process of attempting to serve process must be insured for not only PCP's protection but our clients. So PCP requires all our process servers to carry and maintain automobile liability insurance while serving their documents. We also carry a non-owner hire policy which covers another $1 million over their liability insurance. But from past experience, if a server's liability insurance has lapsed and this coverage is canceled, then our non-owner hire policy is basically worthless. So PCP had to add safeguards in our system to make sure our process servers had current automobile liability insurance policies that are in force and that they keep current. So PCP requires proof of all our process servers' automobile insurance. After verification, we scan and upload that into their server files. We enter the insurance company's information, the expiration date in our system. Additionally, in Texas here, our process servers are certified, and they have renewals. So we enter that renewal date in the system as well. And we made our system able, when our servers log out their jobs, they scan their jobs out based on barcodes on their envelopes. And our system can go into their files and make sure that they have current insurance and that their process server certifications are still current. So if they haven't kept it current, or if it expires, our system won't allow them to log those papers out for service, or if their expiration is getting ready to expire within 30 days, our system notifies them to give them time to get their certifications renewed. The other big thing was, we had clients wanting to make sure our servers were making actual attempts out there. So we made it mandatory March of last year. All of our servers have to use the PCP process serving our app while they're serving our papers. They can either use it on their smartphones, or we'll actually supply them tablets that they can use the app on. And our app requires the server, before they physically exit their vehicle, it requires them to take a picture of the location, which then puts the longitude and latitude in our system. It also puts the date and time that they were physically there. And it uploads that image onto our web portal where our clients even have access, where they can view the picture and see that they actually were there at that specific date and time. So that's just a few of the things that we've sort of programmed in our system to make sure that we're sort of compliant and that we're following what our clients want us to do, and that we keep the integrity of our affidavits.
Can you talk a little bit about specific client requests in relation to safeguards that you've had to put in place for compliance?
Yes, some of the safeguards is with our computer systems. We have to have system passwords on each computer, And on our system login names, those passwords have to be changed every 60 days. We also have to have screensavers and programs that will actually physically lock you out of the system if they haven't been active for over 5 minutes. We have policies in place that employees cannot connect to any of our wireless networks on any private devices, such as cell phones that they might have or tablets. They're not required. They can't bring any portable hard drives in the building. We've had to install locking file cabinets in our data entry departments where we house our client service documents for the ones that maybe don't get entered that evening that we have to house overnight until they ultimately get entered in the system and scanned or either forwarded out for service. We've also had to install big lock containers in data entry that we dispose of our documents that have sensitive information, such as Social Security numbers. We get a lot of information from the Attorney General, basically everything on an individual you could get, from Social Security numbers, dates of birth, tattoos, types of vehicles they drive, on a specific ID sheet. We even get photos of about 90% of them. So under the contract that we have, that ID sheet has to be disposed of, and it has to be shredded. So these sheets are put in these locked containers, and then weekly we have a shredding company come by, and they'll physically take those containers out to the parking lot and shred them, and bring back the containers and put back in our office. The other thing that we've been required to do is provide annual office security training for our employees.
You mentioned, all these things that are client requirements and things that you've had to do to capture and maintain these customers. Is there anything you'd want to say about an audit process at all, like what it's like, or?
Yes, yeah, we've had to go through several audits. Mm-hmm. And basically going through those audits have exposed weaknesses in our company. They've exposed quality assurance procedures that we've had to put in place because of that. Mm-hmm. There's things that in this industry, I was more concerned about, just getting a paper served. And now it's like, are your servers even signing their returns of services? Mm-hmm. So it's really exposed us to a lot more concerns that we have to address in terms of keeping these clients assured that their jobs are being done, honestly, and that they're being performed in a way that they can, I guess, basically trust the paper our returns of services are written on. Mm-hmm. So it's really been an eye-opening experience, I would say. We've, like I said, have quality assurance department now, and their job is merely to do quality assurance, mm-hmm. take random numbers of papers that we've served, and go through, check the actual signatures, compare those signatures to the signatures that we have on file for those servers. And they'll take sampling papers and look at the times that they've attempted those papers and the distances from where the addresses are, make sure that those papers were, could physically even be attempted at the times mm-hmm. that they were attempted.
So you've had to actually make hires and create departments to be compliant and to keep an eye on the quality assurance component of your business.
That's correct. Yes.
So Rick, how has being compliant for your customers impacted your contract servers? I know that you have a lot of servers that you work with that serve your papers full time, but in regards to your contract servers, out of state, how have the requirements changed for you internally when you're looking on bringing new contract servers on?
Well, the biggest thing we look for because of the time frames in our contracts and the requirements of getting images and getting attempts within certain times, one of the things we look at is does that particular customer have an interface? So if they have an interface that our system can interface with, then that's one of the first things that we look for.
So you're talking about software communicating back and forth, being able to drop jobs in their software, and then them subsequently being able to push attempts back up to your system.
Yes, that's probably one of the most critical areas that we get dinged on, I would say, with our contract with the state of Texas, because they're the only contract that I've ever seen or had over the past 30 years that physically require an image of that due diligence or return of service within 4 days of actual service or bad address. And if we don't have that physical image in our system and then in their portal, well, then it's a penalty that we can get assessed and ultimately fined on. So having an interface to get that information is probably one of the most important things that we need to have in place with a process server outside the state of Texas. Mm-hmm. As far as our in-Texas process servers, we are required to do annual training on those servers. And like I say, in May, we had to require all of our process servers in the state, they have to use our app. So we have about 130 tablets right now that I actually own, that I have out for our servers. But then the other servers in the more remote areas, they have to go out and purchase those tablets and install our software if they want to serve our process. We have them all sign non-disclosure agreements, confidentiality agreements before they serve our process. And we're in the process of adding some more permissible use training on our next classes that we'll be starting to give here in March.
Great. So as I mentioned before, and I think we covered this a little bit in regards to your actual physical offices, there are a lot of servers who potentially are pushing back on compliance or maybe haven't been exposed to it yet. What would be your advice to the small or medium process server who says they can't afford to be compliant or simply aren't interested in being compliant?
Well, I don't think there's such thing as you can't afford it. I think you have to look at it as you can't afford not to be compliant. If so, I think you're going to open yourself up for liability or a lawsuit if it can be proven that you or any of your employees have leaked or disclosed client-sensitive data due to your negligence. So I think that there's steps that you can do. I don't think, of course, you're not going to have a compliance or quality assurance department to begin with, but I think if you do the basic common sense steps in trying to protect your client's data and their documents, that to me would be the first step.
So how has compliance impacted your company from a marketing, sales, customer retention perspective?
Well, we've definitely added in our marketing materials. I think it's helped us when we go and put proposals or bids together for either government contracts or state contracts. I feel it gives us a sort of a step up on our competitors that aren't actually putting that in there. Attending some of the NARCA conventions, all the theme is they want their documents safe and secure. So I think with with what's happened over the years up in New York and a lot of gutter service and that whole process up there that really gave process serving a bad image, I think that this is just sort of a defense mechanism right now to try to show most of these debt buyers or government agencies that there are legitimate process servers out there that are trying to make a living and doing the best they can, and keeping their documents as safe as reasonably can be expected.
So you mentioned that the main thing that your clients care about is that their documents and their information is safe and secure. For the folks that are listening that are interested in pursuing being compliant, do you have maybe a quick prioritized checklist of the things they should be looking at to achieve that?
Well, you start with your physical desktop security, wireless network securities, making sure you have your wireless network. You need passwords. Make sure you have passwords on your computers. Make sure you have passwords on your network security.
And your password probably shouldn't be password, right?
That would be good. Yeah, or 123 password.
Right.
Might
Okay.
be good. I think we found honestly that in all the training and the security and all the things that we've been put in place over the past several years, I think we've been more vulnerable in not spies or people trying to do us harm, but it's basically just our employees a knowledge of security, or it's amazing that employees they need to be trained, they need to be taught, and I think that goes a long way in education.
Right.
But if you think that you have something from a client that they don't want disclosed of, then you've got to do your best to keep it as confidential as possible. We basically scan all our documents for service. So once those documents are scanned, we have to we actually shred or dispose of the actual service documents.
Mm-hmm.
So most all the documents that we forward throughout the whole state are all done by email, and I'm sure it's going to continue to go that route. So there's a lot of common sense, I think, involved that they need to use. Don't leave your service documents in your vehicle when you go home at night. If you have them in there, bring them inside the house.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just little things like that. We've had service documents stolen from vehicles. With the contract that we have with the state of Texas, we have to follow procedures. If any documents are stolen, those have to be reported on an incident report form. We have to send out a letter to every single individual. If there were 7 documents that were stolen, we have to send out a letter to each one of those individuals offering to put them on some type of a credit protection program. So it's a big expense if you let your guard down and let these documents get into the wrong hands.
It's a big expense, and I can imagine it's very disruptive to a flow that you're trying to streamline when that occurs.
Yes, I would rather be doing something more productive.
Right, absolutely. Awesome, Rick. Well, if you don't have any parting thoughts, I think we can go ahead and wrap it up here.
Just go buy ServeNow software.
You mean Serve Manager?
Serve Manager. Serve Manager.
Thanks for that plug. Thanks for that plug. So,
No.
well, thanks for taking the time to talk to us. This is going to segue into us. This is going to segue into joining some of your team members there in Spicewood, who are going to give us a tour of your facility, and we're going to show potentially the different departments. It's not going to be while you're live and operational there, but after hours we're gonna get a little bit of a tour for the audience here at ServeCon. So can you give us a little kind of a preview of what we're going to see?
I'm assuming you'll see the card key access system that we have in place. You'll see the video cameras that we have in place. Our shredding boxes that we have that I talked about earlier. Our security entry doors that we have on our accounting department and our IT department.
Thank you very much, and we really appreciate your time, Rick.
All right, no problem.
To gain entrance into to the PCP office, you must have an employee badge, which you need to swipe for key access to come in. So come on in. All visitors that come to PCP must sign in at our visitor sign in and sign out sheet. All visitors are also given a PCP badge. The first room that I'm going to take you to is our quality assurance department. Welcome to our quality assurance department. These are where we run all of our reports on our clients and make sure that all of our servers are making their attempts on time. Over here we have our skip trace department. You might wonder why we don't have anybody in here right now. It's because we had to videotape this after work hours for compliance issues. Our next department is our mailing department. Rick designed it to have an open space so that everyone can see everything, and it's all being recorded with cameras on top. Next one is our billing department. Our next area is data entry. Again, it has an open floor plan, so we can monitor all of the actions that our employees take, and it's all being videotaped as well. In different areas throughout, you can see these wonderful shredding confidential containers. These are all used to shred confidential information that's sent to us through clients and also that are located on service documents. Welcome to our customer service department. This big area is our forwarding department. So this is where we're going to forward all of our services out to all of our different agents and out-of-state agents. We also have filing cabinets along the walls that are all locked with service documents in them. So nobody can come in, and they're only open during service hours. So between 8 and 5, these filing cabinets are opened. Other than that, they're all locked, so you can't go into them and get any service documents. Another security feature that we also have are massive filing cabinets. So these are for our OAG or other client service documents that haven't been data entered into our system yet. They're all locked inside of a cabinet until tomorrow. And here we have the start of our accounting department. All of these doors are locked at the end of the night, but for the tour they are open. Here is our accounting department and our wonderful president, Rick Keeney, over there. all of the confidential information is located behind this door. Only a select few actually even have the password to go even into this door. And in here we have the director hallway. So we have Tobin McDowell, who is our IT director's office. We have Jennifer, who's our director of human resources. We have my office. I'm the director of marketing and client relations. We have Amy here, who's our OAG contract manager. And in here we have Brandy Knight, who is the director of corporate operations. Hi. And again, we have all of our filing cabinets along the wall. And there you go. There is the entire PCP corporate office. After we recorded that session, we got actually hit with an audit for one of our large clients. So, and we're also doing the bid as well for another government contract. So it has been March. It's been a it's definitely been a compliance month for sure.
The month of process serving compliance.
Yes, it has. It's been a little intense.
Right. Well, I think my takeaway is that with all those locks that you have in the office there, you must have a pretty happy locksmith there in Spicewood.
Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if my dad got most of those on eBay. So if you're looking for locks,
probably changes the locks himself, I would imagine.
He did, actually.
you know Rick owns a key cutter. That's a guarantee.
Yes. I'm pretty sure he does in the barn somewhere.
Right. Awesome. Well, we do have one question that came in, but I definitely want to encourage those of you who are out there attending ServeCon, if you have any questions for Ashley about what compliance has looked like for their company, to do that now. We'll be on for probably 3 to 5 minutes or so, assuming that more questions roll through. There was one question, Ashley, and it ties into some of the presentations that we've had earlier, and maybe you have an answer for this, maybe you don't. But how do you keep your independent contractors deemed to be your employee? Is that something that comes across your desk at all, or you have knowledge of?
So, can you, so how do we keep our independent contractors deemed as employees?
Right.
I'm unsure of what the question is actually asking. So how do we keep our independent contractors?
How do you keep them not to be considered an employee? I apologize.
That's a tough subject, and I guess, that's where the process serving industry, I feel, is kind of a gray area. It's just, we have them sign independent contractor agreements. That's part of their package. But just like FedEx, we have compliant issues that they must, abide by, and that they have to follow. I understand as an independent contractor, you might feel that you can do kind of, whatever you want. But if you do, then we'll find somebody that hopefully will adhere to our requirements that we have to have, for our contracts and our clients.
Yeah, I think a lot of it ties into another session that we had yesterday. So elements like, do you provide software? Do they only work for you? These are things that, at least in the state of Colorado, where the attorney who talked about employment contracts said that that's when it can get into a gray area. So I would encourage anyone who has those questions to definitely go back and listen to that presentation.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing is, the volume that we usually give most of our servers, it keeps them pretty happy. If they can take on more work, more to you, but we usually give our servers a pretty decent amount of work.
Mm-hmm. You brought up something interesting, and I don't know if you can talk about it at all or if you have any information on it, but you said that FedEx has to be compliant. Did you have to make special arrangements with FedEx for the documents that are being sent through them?
Actually, FedEx is just an example. Actually, we mainly use UPS, but yeah, we have contracts with UPS, but unfortunately we can't hold them to a lot of the compliant requirements that we have. They've lost, both FedEx and UPS have lost, service documents within, and unfortunately with some of our contracts we have to do the same exact thing as if the service documents were taken out of a service car. So if we sent, our Houston office, 100 service documents, we have to send out 100 letters and offer, credit monitoring for 2 years for every single, defendant on all of those.
Wow.
So, and it's definitely happened. It's happened a couple times, but it's just one of the costs of doing business, especially when you're having to deal with original service documents. So we're trying to really, really push emailing because you don't really get those type of difficult situations when it comes to emailing.
Mm-hmm. Do you have to be careful? Do you have to have any added security when you're sending emails? Do you need to send them encrypted, or is that depending on per client?
Yeah, it depends on per client. A lot of our affiliates, what we do, if you're an affiliate of ours, we actually send you a link to where you can log on to our website and then download the service documents from there. There are some of our out-of-state agents where we, just automatically just go ahead and email to them. But we update our email addresses, and we always ask for a reply to make sure that everyone got their service documents.
Right. Got another question, and it may not be in your wheelhouse, and it might actually pertain to the session this morning. Joanne Needleman, who's the president of NARCA, but someone is saying that they've been in the industry for about 6 months and would like more information on compliance. Is there a list somewhere of things I would need to set up? And I guess, from your experience, is there a guide on compliance that you guys follow, or is it really dependent upon the agreements that you strike with your larger clients?
It's actually not the initial agreement, but it's actually usually when we go through the audit process.
Mm-hmm.
So many of our clients audit us, and that's where we really find out what they're actually looking for and what they're needing as a compliant, issues that they might be having. Right. So one year our compliant issues might be one thing, the next year it could be completely different when the audit comes. So we just finished one, and our audit book last year was about this big. Our audit book this year is about this big. So everything that we had to send, to our client to inform them on how compliant we were has doubled in size. Showing them all of the software, the procedures, the code of conducts, the server training, our training. It's a really big issue, especially at our company now.
How long would you say the term compliance has been a term that has been used at PCP? Obviously, you grew up around the business. Is it something that you've heard since you were just starting out? Is it a recent thing?
No, it's definitely more of a recent thing. Like Rick said previously, the main hit was when New York. Mm-hmm. After the New York situation with the gutter service, that's when you've seen the biggest push for compliance. Mm-hmm. Is after that. But we've had some compliant issues with some of our, government bids that we've had for a couple years. But that from a client, non-government contract, from a client standpoint, it's been really pushed after New York. Mm-hmm. And after all the bad press.
I know this is a question that we asked Rick, but you're in a role of director of marketing and client relations, right?
Yes.
How much does the fact that you guys are highly compliant, highly secure, play into your ability to earn new business?
It's for smaller clients, not as much. But when we start going to NARCA, or we go after the higher volume collection clients, it's one of the first things that we discuss and that we talk about. Compliance to them is just as or even more important to them than getting their papers served. Mm-hmm. It's not just about if you're getting your papers served, it's are you doing it right? Is it secure? Is everything being signed right? Every month we have meetings with our clients, and that's, we perform audits, internal audits that we have to give them feedback on and tell them, where we're lacking and make sure that we're getting our work done compliantly.
Right. Awesome, Ashley. Well, thank you so much for organizing the session with Rick and taking us on that tour.
No, thank you so much. I'm sorry Rick would be here, but our big bid is due on Monday, and he's sweating it out right now.
Typing away, I'm sure.
He is.
Awesome. Well, you have a great weekend, and we really appreciate your time, Ashley. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, you take care.
Bye.